Hello there, people of the internet. I just got done making a top 5 video of my favorite military surplus rifles, and I noticed that most of them were like semi-auto rifles, and I have a lot of bolt action military surplus guns, so I figured I would do another video, my top 5 favorite military surplus bolt action rifles. Got me a whole bunch of rifles right here. Some of them are on the list, some of them are not. So as a matter of fact, I'm going to go in here and grab the 2 that are not, assuming that I can find them. I basically already know what I'm going to do here. You know what? Just because I'm thinking about it now, I'm going to go ahead and make this a top 6. Because that would be the easiest way to do this versus having to pick. Alright, yeah. This is top 6, not top 5, top 6. Alright, let's see here. What do I got? Alright, right here, what I have is a refurbished by me 1891 long rifle Carcano. This right here is an RTI buy that I got, and it was definitely rough. So what I did was I went ahead and I refurbished it, I re-blued the metal, I cleaned up the stock best that I could. There's not a whole lot of finish left on it. I'm probably going to restain it because it is a little light. I don't know, I'm still debating on what I want to do with the stock. There's no cracks or anything inside of it. And all things considered, the stock is in pretty gosh darn good shape. And we even have some trench art back here on the rifle that was put there God knows how long ago. But this particular rifle is gonna kind of cover a genre of rifles. The 6.5 Carcano rifles are extremely light shooting guns, and if you get like the carbine, however it is you feel like pronouncing that word, they can be some really lightweight, handy little rifles that can touch out to some pretty fair distances. A lot of people complain about the accuracy of these guns, but if you're watching this, you probably know to use proper size bullets, which most of your commercial ammo does not, use. And these can be some pretty gosh darn accurate guns. As a matter of fact, I have a video, should be up by now, on how I have an extremely accurate Carcano. It is I think it's a Gardone cavalry carbine. Gardone seem to make the top tier Carcano rifles. They seem to be the best quality out of all of them. So as my, I don't know, number 6 pick, I guess, we're not doing this in any real particular order. I'm just going to kind of go through them as I see them and as I grab them, but I basically already know what I'm going to grab. As my number 6 pick, basically all your Carcano rifles chambered in 6.5, assuming that you get one that's not completely destroyed or shot out or anything like that. These are extremely nice rifles. 6.5 Carcano, nice light recoiling round, but it's powerful enough to do most of the things that most people would want to handle. In terms of energy going downrange, it's about on par with 7.62 by 39, but it does have a better ballistic trajectory if we're talking about modern 6.5 Carcano with proper sized bullets. Really, really good rifles, severely underrated in my own personal opinion. Alright, let me grab my next one. Alright, up next, I have a Type 38 chambered in 6.5 Jap. This particular one has obviously been sporterized. I do get some hate for that, but I really like the sporterization done to this one. I like how long the barrel looks, honestly. The barrel is not any, really not much longer than other military surplus guns out there on the market that were designed around this time period, but I just like the way that this one looks. The stock on it is very well cut, very well done. It's extremely lightweight. The 6.5 Jap round is a light recoiling rifle, a light recoiling cartridge. It's very, very accurate. I have a particular load for this specific rifle that is just superb whenever it comes to accuracy. These Arisakas tend to get a bad reputation because people don't understand them. They don't understand the difference between your Arisaka and your training rifle Arisaka, like your standard one versus your training rifle. Then people are confused as to why their Arisakas keep blowing up and whatnot. Nowadays, really not that big of a deal, but there are some elders out there who will tell you that these rifles are Jap crap, and that it's going to explode in your hand, when that is 110% not the case. I've shot this rifle a tremendous amount This is actually a rifle I've taken with me on many, many hunts, and I really, really enjoy it. You're going to notice a theme here, I'm sure. Well, maybe not, considering the other rifles that I have. I really, really like light recoiling rifles that still have enough power to do most of the things that most people would need to do. 6.5 Jap is not necessarily something that I would take out like big game hunting, but it could be pushed into that service if you use the appropriate bullet. My own personal opinion, the bullet itself matters a lot more than whatever cartridge it is that you're using. If you have a 300 Win Mag with a cast lead bullet, or you have a 308 Winchester with an appropriate, say, expanding solid copper bullet that's designed for big game hunting, that 308 is going to outperform that. You know what, that's a rant for another video. Never mind on that. 6.5 Jap, this right here is my number 5 pick. Alright, number 4, where are you at? There you are. I keep this one separate because this is one that I shoot literally all the time. My buddies that go to the gun range with me can agree with that. This right here is my VZ2447. This is a fantastic little rifle that I spent way too much money on, but boy did it turn into a good shooter, and honestly, I got my money's worth out of it. This is not necessarily the rifle that I'm going to pick. I'm gonna say, like, generally the Kar 98 style of, like, 98 Mauser. There's so many different variations of that rifle, and it's just such a good style of rifle. The Germans, whenever they ended up deciding to go from their long rifles to those Kar 98 carbine versions, they cut the barrel down a lot, they got rid of a lot of the weight of the rifle, they made it a lot more compact and a lot handier, but they didn't lose much in terms of velocity. They noticed that their 8mm Mauser, whenever it was fired from a shorter barrel, only lost like 40 feet per second on average, if memory serves me correctly. Either way, it was like a really insignificant amount. And they didn't lose any accuracy, but they did get themselves a much smaller, lighter weight, much more appropriate style of rifle for the average person to be able to use. I have used 8mm Mauser long rifles, and me being someone who has to stick all my stuff inside of a car, drive to a gun range, carry all that stuff around along with other equipment like recording equipment, food, water, whatever else it is I'm bringing out to the gun range, ammunition, etc., etc., the size of the rifle matters, and these are noticeably easier to carry. So, the Kar 98 style rifle, this particular one is my go-to just because this particular one is stupidly accurate compared to all my other Mauser rifles. But the Kar 98 style of Mauser rifle, that is my next pick. That's what, number 4? Yeah, my number 4 pick. Alright, number 3 pick is right here. This right here is a Mosin Nagant. I have shot this rifle a huge amount. Anyone who's ever owned one of these, you probably got it back whenever they were like stupidly dirt cheap, or you got one for a deal. People love telling me the deals that they pick these up at. You know, fantastic, good for you. These definitely could still be found out there for a reasonable price, but for the most part, they've climbed in price a lot to the point to where they're just like beyond what most people would be willing to pay, myself included. So 5-shot bolt-action rifle, 7.62x54R. This particular one you guys have seen on the channel a whole lot, just because I got ammunition for these and I love taking them out. It's a good 30 caliber bolt-action rifle. It's a good rifle. I know a lot of people love to harp on these things because they can be sticky, they could have cosmoling issues. Some of them are like rusted out because the old ammo that used to run in these was corrosive and soldiers didn't always take care of the rifles and whatnot. A good counter boring would probably fix that rifle right up if you're having issues with something like that. But these rifles are bulletproof, like not actually bulletproof in the literal sense. What that means is they are extremely durable rifles. These have gone through and seen a tremendous amount of hardship. And they'll keep going. I have seen people over in Europe dig these out of the ground and they're still functional. These are very, very, very durable rifles that I have absolutely no doubt will outlast the current generation that we are currently living in. As a matter of fact, I'm willing to bet that these rifles will be around for many, many generations to come. The one thing I don't like about them is they do have a lack of accuracy if you have one that you're shooting that does not have the bayonet attached, because the Russians actually zeroed these for the bayonet attached, which I really hate. The fact that you have to stick another foot-long piece of metal on the end of this rifle that you may or may not have, that which typically costs like over $100 by today's standards. The fact that you have to hunt one of those down and stick it on the end of your gun just to be able to accurately shoot it, absolutely stupid. If you do have one of these, I would recommend getting your sights dialed in to shooting it without that bayonet attached, because that is 100% the way to go. So that right there is my number 3, right? Yeah, that is number 3, right? Yeah, I think so. Alright, number 2 is actually sitting right here. You can tell that I have all of my stuff on my back wall because this is the things that I use regularly, that I grab. This right here is my Ishapur 2A1. I am sure that you guys foresaw this being on the list if you were around for any length of time on the channel. This is one of my all-time favorite rifles just because it is a really, really, really nice shooter. It's really, really accurate. Chambered in 7.62 NATO, so I don't have to worry about finding ammunition that's a little bit more difficult to find, like say 303 British. It is getting more difficult to find that nowadays. 54R is still pretty abundant. It's going to get less so now that we got certain sanctions and whatnot in place. 8mm Mauser, if we're talking about new production stuff, that can be a little pricey and difficult to find. Bottom line is 7.62 NATO, that's going to be around like en masse for my entire lifetime. So I'm going to have no issues finding ammunition for this rifle. 10-shot external magazine. If I had more magazines, that would be a really easy way to reload the thing, but I don't. However, this does take stripper clips, and it takes the same kind of stripper clips that basically all of your other 7.62 NATO rifles take. So the stripper clips are abundant. You just push your rounds in. You know, they tend to come in like 5-round clips, so you're gonna need 2 of them. Besides that, it's a fast shooting rifle. It's got that short bolt throw. It's got all the benefits of your Lee Enfield system. I thought about throwing a 303 British Lee Enfield on this list, but I was like, nah, I would take the 7.62 NATO one over a 303 one basically any day of the week just because of that ammunition availability. So this right here definitely falls into the category of one of my favorite rifles just because of that ammunition availability. Okay, now on to probably my favorite bolt-action rifle that I own. You know what? I'm gonna ask you guys, what do you think it is? Like, before I go saying anything, what do you got, like place your bets down below based off of what it is that you see me shoot on the channel. Well, I don't know. That might be a little difficult, but I'm still curious to see what you guys have to say about it. And it's going to be a surprising one. It's not like an expensive rifle or anything like that. This right here is my Oviedo Mauser. Yay! This is my favorite rifle, my favorite bolt-action rifle that I own. This one is chambered in technically 7.62 SETME, but I have shot just a tremendous amount of 7.62 NATO through these rifles, and they hold up extremely well. Do not fire 308 through these. I had actually one particular Oviedo Mauser blow up in my face because I fired some 308 through it. So don't fire 308 through these because they cannot handle it. They might be able to handle it for a little while. I fired, I don't know, 1,000 rounds or so of 308 through that thing, but eventually the headspace did walk, and eventually that receiver gave up. So don't fire a whole bunch of 308 through that. Now that being said, 7.62 NATO, these seem to handle that just fine. I have lost track of how much 7.62 NATO has gone through this rifle. If I had to make a bet, I'd gauge it, I don't know, 5,000 rounds. Honestly, maybe a little bit more than that at this point. Just because 7.62 NATO, especially back whenever I'd gotten this thing, I won this for like 80 bucks at an auction, and I went out and bought myself a bunch of it. 7.62 NATO back then was quite a deal cheaper than it is nowadays. As a matter of fact, I think I could get it for like 30 cents a shot back then. And this was one of my main go-to rifles that I would shoot on a pretty gosh darn regular basis. So, what this is, 5-shot, 93 style Mauser. It's a bolt action, obviously. I don't know what it is about these particular Spanish rifles, but they tend to handle black powder extremely well. No idea why. But I make my own gunpowder, and I load my own black powder 308. And the reason why I do that is because I can load that 308 ammo for like 10 cents a shot, so it's a really good, cheap plinker. All I have to do is clean my rifle afterwards. Normally with black powder inside of a rifle like this right here, you get a fair amount of shots before you start to lose accuracy because of black powder fouling. For whatever reason, with this rifle here, I don't get that. I have a bag with 100 rounds of brass reloaded black powder, 308 ammunition that I've reloaded over and over and over and over and over. And I've gone out and I've shot like that full 100-round bag in a single day without cleaning this rifle. And I remember one time we had a target at 100 yards. It was like a 6-inch round target. And man, I was just smacking that thing over and over and over. I probably had about 3 MOA groups on that with that black powder ammo. And I did that through the entire course of me, like long story short, the black powder fouling, I gotta remember not to go off on my ramblings, black powder fouling through these rifles just does not bother them, and I have no idea why. So because I can make my really dirt cheap ammo, shoot it through this rifle without any accuracy loss, get 7.62 NATO surplus, basically for the rest of my life to go through this rifle, assuming that no wrongful legislation passes, which would be extremely unfortunate. I'm definitely hoping that does not happen. I should be able to keep this rifle running basically indefinitely. With this rifle, it is lightweight, it is small, it is very handy. It's about the same length as your like 98 Kar 98 style of rifle. It's got a few inches less on the barrel, maybe, if I had to make a bet, I'd say 3 inches, give or take. But it is significantly lighter weight. Like, this is just a fantastically lightweight little rifle. Anyone who's ever handled one of those knows how nice of a little rifle that really is, especially at the price point that you can typically find those at. They tend to run less than other 308 Mausers out there on the market. All right, well, that is my list. We got the Carcano, the Arisaka, 8mm Mauser Kar 98 style rifle. We had the Mosin Nagant, the Ishapur 2A1, and my Oviedo Mauser in 7.62 NATO. Thanks for watching, folks. I appreciate your time. Like, subscribe, share. Description below has a link to all sorts of stuff. Go check it out. You guys go off, have yourself a fantastic day, and I will see you on the next episode. Been a little while since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. Poor man's Garrett.
Shame that bolt-action shotguns aren't more mainstream.